4chan is one of the most maligned and hated web pages on the entire internet. What was once seen as a bunch of forums used to talk about anime and other aspects of Japanese culture soon became a platform defined by its user anonymity and the kind of people that would put said anonymity to use. While you could argue that the hate and fear-mongering around 4chan is overblown by the mainstream media and other internet users, it's impossible to deny that some really bad people have chosen 4chan to be their forum of choice. One of these individuals is one Thaddeus McMichael, better known today as MadThad0890, an internet user who would cultivate an audience around him who found his rants about anime, pro wrestling, and gaming to be humorous. His obsession with his dear waifu would also put him on the map within a very specific community of people online, as he began to intrigue a large audience of people with his eccentric but also charismatic persona. On the outside, MadThad didn't seem too different to other content creators of the time, producing unpolished videos that have a certain level of charm to them in the that golden age of YouTube sort of way. But of course, I would not be talking about Mr. McMichael if it wasn't for his unsavoury and illegal actions online, as his audience would be sent on a thrill ride of FBI investigations, Facebook posts defending pedophilia, and wince-worthy videos of Thaddeus sharing a birthday cake with an anime character. The story of MadThad is a strange one, and all I want to say right now is that I'm definitely going to make my next video about someone who isn't interested in child misconduct. That is not what my channel is about. I never thought I'd make so many videos about child predators. In fact, I might make a video about the zoo file leaks. That sounds quite interesting. At least there aren't any kids involved. Who's that? There are kids involved. But many of them. Multiple people in that telegram wanted to fuck kids. For fucking bullshit! In all of the videos that I've made thus far about predators or lolcows, I usually start at the beginning, talking about the person's early life and moving through the years as we take a look at the order of events that led them to becoming a distinguished online gentleman. However, I've decided to change up the formula for this video for one main reason. Not much about McMichael's early life before his rise to internet infamy has actually been documented. So even if I wanted to, we don't have much to talk about on that front. So instead, we're going to start the story at the point where I believe MadThad's videos were exposed to their largest audience, which takes us to the era of YouTube that above all else worshipped one thing. Cringe, baby. While the cringe community these days seems to consist mostly of TikTok compilations and goobers on Reddit, the cringe landscape of 2016 or so was an incredibly different place. At the time, there was so much unmined content to be compiled that entire channels would be dedicated to showing it off, and entire videos would be dedicated to certain fan bases and individuals. People like Jacob Sartorius and the Pokemon Go Kid would become staples of the genre, but in today's case, anime cringe compilations are the focus, and where anime cringe was present, MadThad's videos were never too far behind. Which brings us to undoubtedly MadThad's most popular video. For anyone involved in the online anime community during the 2000s and the 2010s, the hatred for the anime school days can't be understated. Being an anime adaptation of the very popular visual novel, the show was despised by a large majority of the community. Being centered around a love triangle between three main characters, MadThad's most well-known contribution to the internet is a video of him sharing a birthday cake with one of the main characters, that being the character of Kotonoha Katsura, who he believed was his wife. The video's widespread use in Cringe compilations led to it becoming his most popular video. As the video began circulating, people would begin to find out more about McMichael, finding a YouTube channel with multiple uploads, some of which focused on the anime community with videos featuring him singing anime theme songs, others talking about pro wrestling, and some just detailing his opinions about random everyday encounters. Despite on the surface seeming like a relatively normal depository for his opinions on nerd culture, certain videos would begin to catch people's eye. One video that specifically began to gain traction was a video titled Tokyo's Virtual Child Porn Bill and Funimation's Dance in the Vampire Bund Edits. I know this video is probably going to feature a lot of details about anime you might not care about, but to make this story make sense, I need to give a bit of background context. The controversy surrounding Dance in the Vampire Bund stems from Funimation, the company licensing the anime for release in different regions, opting to censor certain scenes due to nudity featuring children. When people found out about this, a group of fans tried to convince Funimation to retract the censorship, which would eventually happen. While MadThad's opinions seemed to mirror the wider community at the time, as the video went on, it became increasingly obvious he was just utilising the topic to justify his thoughts on things like child porn, incest, and other sexually charged topics. At one point, MadThad would claim that he wishes he had a sister to have sex with, but only had a brother.
It's not the fucking 90s anymore, you know what I'm saying? It's 2010. 2010. That shit was like fucking 20 years ago we were going through this shit. I guess we're still going through it. I thought we were done. I thought we were fucking done. I thought we were done. We're not. We're not fucking done. So Funimation came out with this this news article, not news, but press release saying that it's some vampire anime they license, and they're gonna edit like a scene or a couple scenes out that show like basically animated child pornography, if that's a fucking term. And this is fucking terrible because that's fucking censorship. And in the 90s that shit was alright because we was people, naked little girls, cause that's what they're talking about, naked little girl shit. And it's fucking terrible. I mean, you know, I'm not a big fan of real child pornography, like, cause it's kind of, I don't know, I'm not that interested in real people like that, you know? But drawn, animated child pornography, I'm okay with, cause it's drawn. Cause real people aren't that sexy to me when it comes to that kind of shit. Probably kind of all kind of shit, you know? I can fat more to hentai than fucking browsers videos, cause when you see one browsers videos, you see it all, cause they're all like the same format, you know, shitty. But that's not the point. But anyway, and then like I saw today that Japan's coming out with a bill saying that they're gonna ban all child pornography, saying they're gonna ban anybody under the age of 18 being drawn cannot be drawn naked. And that's terrible because anime alright, think of all the animes you know with people under 18 years old and people over 18 years old. It's not that many. I mean, you put the two together, you know what I'm saying? Like Dojins, Dugons, Dolphins, it's like a D word. It's like basically fan-made manga. And what's gonna happen to all the people that make rape fantasies and brother and sister sex scenes and shit like that? Sex mangas. You know, I like that kind of shit. You know, wish I had a little sister so I could have sex with. I got a brother. He's a faggot, so I can't really have sex with him.
While some would come away from this video believing it was simply an attempt to be edgy from a guy with a relatively small internet following, anyone aware of McMichael's actions online would know otherwise. Something you'll notice about the story of Thad as we continue is that very few questions you may have about him or his actions ever actually get answered, which is why I decided to impose a goal on myself while making this video. As an anime fan myself, I wanted to get to the bottom of why Thaddeus McMichael was so obsessed with the character of Kotonoha Katsura, the character featured in the infamous birthday cake video. So, did I do it? Well, yes and no. While I still don't know why this specific character from a show that at the time most people hated appealed to Thaddeus so much, I believe I found the reason why he prefers waifus over real people. In some of his videos, Thad states that he isn't into real people like that, but never really goes any deeper into the subject than just making the statement. However, relatively early into his YouTube uploads, he released a video talking about his personal experience with suicide, specifically the time that he was struggling after being cheated on by his, at the time, ex-girlfriend. While I'm not going to play any of the video here, as this part of the proceedings is more of a detour, during the video he documents the time that his heart was broken by his ex-partner. He documents his time in treatment and the favourable experience he had while trying to get his life back on track. He attributes this specific situation as the main reason why he's not interested in real people, which I believe answers at least one question I had going in. But this video also shows a more vulnerable side of Thad. He claims that his love for anime, specifically the show One Piece, kept him from going through with the action, and that he would be willing to talk to anybody about their problems in the comments section or in personal message. In a strange example of humanity, Thad offered to help his viewers out of the purest parts of his soul. I find that very interesting. I'm not here to really talk about the morality of Thad's opinions on things like lolicon and shit like that. This video mostly exists so that I can tell you the story of this strange online user and the audience that grew around him. But in the case of this specific video, it makes you wonder how Thad's reputation would have turned out if this was the video he'd became most well known for, and if he'd changed his lifestyle, managed to keep his oversharing in check, then maybe the story of MadThad would have turned out different. These next few details are actually hard to order chronologically, since most of Thad's old social media pages have been shut down or removed, with only a few forum profiles and a still frequently active Pornhub account being available. Of course, I didn't think I'd find much on the Pornhub account despite the fact that I still had a look, and now I know what Thad's penis looks like. But the forum posts are actually quite helpful. As time went on, Thad would begin to change the way he spoke online. While he'd always been outspoken on his opinions about CP and Lolly before, he would begin to increasingly conversate online about the topics on places like Facebook and 4chan. Despite the fact that I can't find any remnants of his presence on 4chan, his Facebook page was documented quite deeply by the legends at Encyclopedia Dramatica. On Facebook, Thad would begin to publicly post statements such as,
"A cock-blocking piece of shit. Have you seen the show? Most of the guys look like friendly men that just want to show a little girl a good time. Ain't like they're coming over with forks and knives to eat the fucking girls. They just want to get drunk off wine coolers and fuck.
and
What if I adopt a little girl? I'm sure she wouldn't mind becoming my sex slave if I take her away from the orphanage."
on his profiles he would begin to talk about his love for CP at an even higher rate than before, and probably scariest of all, his interest in finding little kids in real life to corrupt. In some cases, making these posts diverging info about his CP habits on websites that his close family and friends had access to. Throughout all of this, however, unbeknownst to Thad, the FBI had been looking into his shenanigans. Throughout many months of 2012, the FBI would closely follow his internet antics, and unfortunately for Thad, who at the time had absolutely no idea about FBI's intervention, turned the illegal posts into overdrive. I will read some of these posts for you now, and they are not nice. I do not derive any pleasure from having to read this kind of stuff. On the 3rd of October, one of McMichael's Facebook friends posted, "Stop downloading all that CP, Thad. You're just asking for..."
Well, tell 7-year-old girls to stop sucking dick so sexy.
He would go on to tell investigators that that post was a joke. On December 1st, he wrote, "I got a plan ahead. Can't have all my classmates knowing I walk around with 6 gigs of CP on my keychain." He then also stated that that was a joke, despite the fact that agents would later verify that that was the truth. On December 8, He posted a link to a video and described it as involving a mentally disabled boy and a nurse saying, "For disabled people, sexuality is necessary. It's also CP. It's a nurse jerking off a 10-year-old boy. Not just any 10-year-old boy, a retarded 10-year-old boy." McMichael told investigators that he'd found the video on a website and guessed the boy's age to be between 8 and 12. He said he made the post as a joke. This video is actually a video that was circulating on 4chan for a while, which is where he found the video. It doesn't initially state that on the news page, but that's the truth. While there are numerous different examples of statements that McMichael has made online in the past, I think I'm just going to leave this as the last one, because if I was going to read them all out, we'd be here all day. On February 1st, McMichael wrote, "I went to the library today to send some resumes out and left my USB drive plugged in a computer with all of my CP, my resume along with my name and address on it for about 30 minutes. I can only thank Kami-sama that no one looked through it." McMichael admitted to investigators that he had been at the library but said he did not leave a USB drive behind. After surveying his internet output for a while, it's safe to say that the FBI had seen all they needed to, so they produced a search warrant, arrested Thad, and looked through his devices, where they found a massive amount of CP-related content, as well as an even larger amount of other pornographic content. While looking through different directives on his computer, they found custom shirt designs created by Thad that used CP images, as well as many different videos and images spread across folders and multiple hard drives, which verifies something Thad said in a YouTube video once, claiming that he'd purchased multiple 1TB hard drives simply dedicated to storing hentai and other pornographic content. Despite finding a large quantity of CP on Thad's devices, he was given the opportunity to post bail, which allowed him to remain under house arrest, where he would also have to wear an ankle bracelet, with the second condition seeing him being banned from utilizing the internet. Thad is either the most cocky person on the planet, or the biggest fuckhead on the planet, because he broke his bail by posting on Twitter, which violated his terms. The post that violated his bail terms read, "I'm back. Missed my waifu. Stupid feds didn't even find my backup HD. YOLO swag waifu anime pussy." Fuck me. Fuck me. Thad would enter a second plea agreement which would see him serve 5 years in prison with a possibility of 20 years, with the judge claiming that some of the content featured on his many devices were, quote, "sadistic and masochistic." Thad would spend 5 years in prison and would be released on the 9th of October 2018. So, what happened to Thaddeus McMichael? Where is he now, and what's he been up to? Well, that's a question with a pretty interesting answer. Honestly, he went right back to where it all began. As I mentioned before, conducting research for this video was difficult because most of the prominent social medias are long gone, but it may be surprising to hear that he hasn't really dropped off the face of the earth. As mentioned before, he still has 2 profiles on the websites Pornhub and Motherless.com, but his use of the forum Desu Archive, a board similar to 4chan, that Thad began using under the name Kotonoha's Husbando, is where our most recent information comes from. The first post on the board, which was made on Friday the 20th of March 2020, saw him ask for anime recommendations due to being in prison for the past multiple years. He would make 47 pages worth of posts on the board over the coming years, with the most recent of which being made on Wednesday the 15th of July 2023. But what I believe is more interesting is his YouTube channel, the same place where he would gain a form of obscure notoriety. Thad still posts content to the same YouTube channel that was created over 15 years ago, with the same name and the same profile picture of Kotonoha Katsura. His most recent video on the channel was released 1 month ago, but he also produces shorts and live streams, including streams of games like Fortnite. While a majority of his videos don't do as well as the ones that put him on the map over a decade ago do, he still makes content for a small group of fans. And, in case you're wondering, he still says happy birthday to Kotonoha every year, keeping the meme alive. The story of Thaddeus McMichael is a conflicting one. I can't by default say he's a good person because of what he'd done, but I also don't feel the same level of vitriol towards him as I do to that irredeemable piece of dog shit, Nick Bate. While his life and his presence online is always going to be defined by his actions, I think, for the time being at least, Thaddeus McMichael is succeeding at fitting back into society and continuing his YouTube channel. In today's video, we took a brief look at a facet of internet history, where we saw the growth of a strange internet personality. We saw the ramifications of his actions, and we are now able to experience his reintegration back into relative obscurity.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Kotonoha. Happy birthday to you.